How do lawmakers create laws that govern our industry, especially like in a year like this where this is an election year and a pretty tense one? Today we're going to be talking to Cissy Larkin, a longtime industry veteran in the mortgage industry and also very active in advocacy. She's going to talk to us about the importance of state level advocacy. This is a mortgage banking live stream. Welcome. This is the Mortgage Banking live stream. Today is August 26, 2020. We are here to connect you. We are here to educate. We're here to entertain. We're going to do an interview today with Cissy Larkin of Informative Research, and she's a longtime advocate and very active in the Texas MBA in particular, lots of different areas of the marketplace and the industry, however. And we're going to bring her in a few minutes. A couple of shouts out as we get going. The Texas MBA is having its Mortgage Symposium and Reverse Mortgage Day. Make sure I get these dates right. Well, it's in November. It's going to be virtual, and they have moved that completely to a virtual platform, and they are going to be bringing the same type of excellent content and excellent speakers. If you haven't registered for that, make sure you do it. It's one of the best deals in the business. It doesn't cost you that much. You don't even have to leave home now. You can watch this virtually, and it is sure to be an excellent couple of events. A couple of shouts out also, Ruth Lee at Big Think, founder of Big Think. Ruth is a serial entrepreneur. I love Ruth, and she's a longtime supporter and friend and excellent person in the industry. Thomas Miller of Radiant, thank you for the support, Thomas. I truly appreciate it. Emily Fuller-Skelch at Merlin. Emily, I appreciate the support. Excellent. Hey, a job alert. Austin Capital is looking for a senior payment and fraud specialist. So just putting that out there. Austin Capital, great institution. Check them out. So let's talk about politics a little bit because we're going to roll into advocacy in the conversation today. So as you know, the Republican National Convention is in full swing. On Monday, Donald Trump accepted the nomination for this go-round, and so it was to be anticipated. They're having the full panoply of speakers. They had some interesting speakers on Monday. Last night, the headliner was Mrs. Trump, and there's a lot of information out there about her talk, and it seemed like she was trying to put a little bit of a softer edge on the message and reach out to some voters in that regard. And this is going to go on again today and tomorrow as well. Today, the headliners include Vice President Mike Pence, and so as I mentioned before, regardless of who you support, regardless of what side of the aisle, or even if you're a completely independent independent person as far as partisan goes, the important part is what people are thinking about and talking about. And so I really encourage people to watch both the Democratic National Convention and also the Republican National Convention, because when you do, you figure out, we know that, absence, the meteor hitting the planet, it's going to be one of these two people that is going to be your next president or president for the next 4 years. And so I think it's super important that you stay attuned, and not only really to the people at the top level in the presidential slot, but also the people that are below them, and also people that are in Congress, and even the people that they're talking about in terms of who might be in the judiciary. All of that is really important. And this is a democracy. You run this place. And the only way for this to be a well-run organization as far as the country goes is to have active, smart people involved. And that's one of the best and easiest ways to figure out which way those two parties are going. Couple other shouts out, Katie Garrison and Kelly Richards of Informative Research. Thank you very much. They are colleagues of Cissy's. Claire Barber at PBG, plus Gibato Green, sorry. Claire, excellent. Thank you for the support. Harry Gardner, Vice Mortgage Services. Thank you, Harry. I'm glad to see you here, and I do appreciate the support. So a great bit of news across the wire today. A couple of days ago, we talked about the 50 basis points hit that people were taking from Fannie and Freddie. That got sprung on the industry last week, and there was a huge outcry in terms of people that, and really from, as I mentioned in the prior live stream, people from all sides of the aisle, all facets of the diamond, people from consumer advocates to bank advocates to investors to mortgage banking advocates, National Association of Realtor, home builders, everybody became active and were surprised by this 50 basis points hit that was going to be imposed on the mortgage industry. Well, that was supposed to take effect September 1, but thousands and thousands of people objected. And whether it's directly related to those protests and objections and that advocacy, or whether it's related to something else or some combination of factors, we don't entirely know. But what we do know is that date has now been pushed back to December 1st. Now, what effects is that going to have on the rush to refi? It's a good question, because anytime this type of situation occurs, what happens is it modifies the pipeline, and people will start to adjust to, both consumers looking for loans and people giving loans start to adjust to the new timeframes. Nevertheless, I do want to point out that probably, and certainly we can speculate about this, probably there was an impact, a positive impact for consumers and for mortgage companies in this huge outcry and advocacy by the various groups that pushed at least the date back. And who knows, maybe if enough people continue to protest, they will get rid of that 50 basis points hit altogether and not impose that burden on consumers, especially at these uncertain times. But I thought that was a good entry to talk to our guest today, because she is a longtime active participant in the mortgage industry, has held a lot of roles, and also she's a Texas MBA champ, and she is heavily active in the advocacy part of this industry and champions a lot of the initiatives in that regard. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring on Cissy Larkin of Informative Research. And Cissy, hi, and welcome to the live stream.
Hi, Troy.
Good to have you on. Thank you for your time today. And I know you're super busy, so we'll just talk with you just a little bit if we can. But can you talk to us about, first of all, tell us a little bit about you and your role with Informative Research, to give us a little context, but then also what your activities are in the Texas MBA and advocacy generally.
Well, I am with Informative Research. I'm the VP of Client Success. I'm a salesperson. I try to bring people to our great company. And for the Texas Mortgage Bankers Association, I'm the chairman of the Political Action Committee. I was a vice chairman for a couple of years. I was brought into it about 4 years ago just because I needed somebody. And then, as the years went by, I got to where I realized they need me. We need everyone. And I started enjoying the advocacy part of it. My good friend, and probably your good friend, John Fleming, always says, policy is made by those who show up. So if we don't show up, then policy is going to get made. It's just that you're not going to have a seat at the table. So I encourage everyone to advocate for our industry and any industry. And we're just trying to talk to our elected officials and let them understand what's our business like. Because there's all kinds of well-meaning legislation, right? They think they're going to protect the consumer or protect some kind of interest, which is good. But our industry is so complicated that if you make a tweak here, you could totally throw something else off that will adversely affect the consumers. So we need to have a collaborative discussion. And the only way that we can hopefully have that collaborative discussion is we've got to talk to our elected officials and explain our industry to them. So I
Yeah,
think it's very important.
that makes a lot of sense, and so the ability for people to come in and talk to the elected officials, um, when you think about and it often comes up to be called lobbying, right? Sort of a nutshell encapsulation of it. But
Kind of a pejorative term, isn't it?
it
Lobbying is
is, right?
a pejorative
But
term.
yes, but tell us what is lobbying, because it does have such bad connotations in a lot of people's minds, but it really shouldn't when you think about it.
No, it simply is our method by which we can explain to our elected officials what our business is. There are so many businesses, and if we just look at the state level, we always say that real estate is local, right? Well, so in our industry, we need to make sure each elected official understands our industry. And think about it, elected officials come and go. Well, think about a new elected official, they come in and they might be lawyers or they might be doctors. That's their day job, right? They don't know the intricacies of the loan mortgage business and capital markets and servicing. I mean, think about just the idea of the difference between how we originate the loan and then the servicing of it. The consumer mails their payment to a servicing company, but that really is not the originating company. So anything that goes wrong or any frustration they have, they blame it on the mortgage company that originated my loan when it was the servicing company. And that servicing company has a completely different set of rules and regulations and processes to go through in order to service that loan. And not to go over, but think about this idea of forbearance. You have these services that are servicing your loan. You're paying the principal and interest and taxes and insurance. And this is the servicer. The servicer takes your payment in and then distributes that to the insurance company, the taxing authority, and to the bondholders, their principal and interest. So by you asking for forbearance, not going to pay your payment, that servicer still has a contractual obligation to send those payments to them. They don't have them from you, they've got to send them somewhere else. So that's the domino effect of it isn't just some money tree somewhere that we just have to stop the money tree. There are actually people and businesses and processes, and if you stop your payment, you're hurting a whole lot of other people. Where's the taxes going to come from when at the end of the year your schools and fire departments and police departments need funding? It came from your property taxes, right? So
That's right.
just the idea of let's us all have forbearance because of the pandemic. Well, that's a great idea, but think of what happens when you do that. So that's the information that we need to give to our elected officials. And in Texas, for instance, our session will start January 2021. And you'll have all these new people, or we'll have the same people. During that 6 months that we're in session, there'll be 6,000 bills that these elected officials have to look at. You can't possibly know 6,000 different industries. So our job is to help as best we can get the information across to them, because we're not in business unless our consumers are happy, unless they got a good deal, unless the service and the product we provided for them was good for them. It has to be good for us and good for them. It has to be a win-win. So our focus is to do the best thing for the consumer, or we wouldn't be in business.
Right. And I think that a lot of times what happens is the legislation that comes out is designed to address a particular problem where somebody has had an issue. So some sort of a complaint. It could be a consumer's complaining. It could just be a general notion of things could happen. The industry evolves. And so, well-intended legislation comes around and people have ideas about what it should be. And somebody will propose a bill and others will vote on it and so on. But it seems to me like the only way that any of that will work is if the legislators that are creating the bill actually know how the business works.
Mhm.
And as I see lobbying anyway, again, that gets a pejorative term, but as I see it, it's really just the education of the people who are writing the laws, whatever the law is going to be,
Right.
of how the business works. And it's true, lobbying comes from all angles. So the consumer advocates, people who understand that there is an issue for the consumers trying to get a bill passed, the businesses that have to stay in business and know how the business works. All those people can talk to their officials, and that's part of where that comes in, right? And it's all lobbying. It's in a sense, it's that's what they call it, right?
Well,
What?
in Texas,
Yep.
we have hundreds of thousands of people that work in our industry, in the mortgage finance industry, whether they are working for servicing companies or originating companies, appraisals, title companies. Our industry employs hundreds of thousands of people. So anything that impacts our industry impacts all of that employment. It's, you got to think about that too.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
um, that's what we want. If you think of thousands and thousands of people in Texas that could advocate, could call their elected officials, it'd be great. And we talk about regulation, and when you're writing bills, and that's regulation of an industry, which is good, it's fine. And I think in Texas, especially, our regulators, the Texas Department of Savings and Loan, the person that runs that is Caroline Jones. And for years, we work together. It's a collaborative effort that between a regulator and the industry that you're regulating, we all want the same end. We want to give a consumer the best kind of product and service that they can do. And if you are working collaboratively, then it ends up being a good bill and a good regulation. But if it's just one sided with just a little bit of information, that'd be like me trying to tell a doctor, oh, why can't you fill out this form while you're doing that operation? It would make it so much easier for me as the regulator to find out. Oh, well, I have my hands knee deep in someone's chest. So, you have to sort of live their life, or know and understand what they're going through.
Right. It's sort of like a mini education, right? It's the chance to give people the mini education. So when they're writing a bill that could become a law, that it actually has the input and insights from the people that are going to be regulated, and also again from the consumers, right? So the regulators, like SML as an example, they listen to all sides, right? And so they try to gather the information about what is working well and what's not working well from everybody, and they try to get the best version of any sort of regulation that fits for all the situations possible anyway. And there's always exceptions, of course. Talk to us a little bit about the difference. A lot of people, when we think about lobbying, a lot of people, when we think about, just elections, generally speaking, it's the grand national elections, it's the Republican convention, it's the Democratic National Convention. It's these, the national level presidential politics types of events that people get excited about. But why is state elections and state regulation important?
Well, real estate is local. That's what we say all the time. And for instance, Texas is unique. For instance, we have a cash out law that is residential, your homestead cash out law, that is much different than any other state. So every time you're going to tweak that law, it's just Texas that affects, and it's just the consumers in Texas. Well, all of the representatives are going to vote on something. That's why all of the people in our industry need to think about what law has come up, what are they about to propose, how is it going to affect us, how is it going to affect our ability to do our jobs, and and that's local. We call our local representative, and think about the local state representative. They live in your county. They live on your block, maybe. You voted for them. You helped them, maybe. And you can call them up. You might even have their cell phone. You might be able to Zoom with them on a call or something. It can be much more intimate. it starts small, it's grassroots.
Right.
And every one of those people are going to be voting on some bill. And if they had an idea or a story from you or how that is going to affect you, when they go in to vote, they're going to be able to think, hey, wait a minute. I just I just heard Troy and Cissy telling me that this is really going to affect, just like the half a basis point or 50 basis points that Fannie and Freddie need. Fannie and Freddie are doing that because they need money and they're in conservatorship, they are owned by the government. But the way they implemented it, it was just immediate. So a half of 50 basis points actually translates to maybe an eighth or a quarter in rate for the consumer. So an eighth or quarter of a rate to the consumer is 14, 24, $34 or so. Let's think about, you can't just do that automatically because you got pipeline that has been in there for 60 days, right? So even the fact that they allowed us to delay it to December 1, it gives everybody the ability to get ready for it. Because, and in Texas right now, starting in January, we have a $4.6 billion hole in our budget because of COVID. Well, all of those legislators are going to be looking for a way to get some money, which you have to, right?
Right.
And residential real estate, for one, is kind of an easy mark because the actual consumer might be aggravated at closing because of this cost or that cost. But you're going to close and go on, and you're not going to think about that. You're not going to think about it as if they did a sales tax, an extra sales tax. You're going to think about it every time you buy something. But you're only going to be irritated once with residential real estate. So it's, I think, a little easier to take money there rather than other places. But you're going to need $4.6 billion somehow.
Right. And actually, that's another good point. The difference between the national and the federal and the state governments is that the federal governments have a much easier time working with a budget that's out of balance, whereas the states, they can't create their own monetary system, right? So they have to somehow balance their budgets and get money from somewhere. They just can't create it.
The government can print money. They can print that $26 trillion. But yeah, each state, we only have the money that we have. Now we can do bonds and basically tax the people that live here, but we can't create money.
Right.
We can't.
Yeah, that's very true. So you mentioned earlier that you're chair of PAC. And so there's a difference, right, between advocacy and PAC. So you want to talk a little bit about PAC and so, yeah, about the money aspect. And I know a lot of people see contributions as kind of unseemly and irritating. And talk to us a little bit about PAC.
Well, everybody says, "Oh, well, I don't like to be in politics. I don't like political action." Well, we advocate, but then we also have to donate to our elected officials' campaigns, and we get contributions from the people in our industry so that we can help and donate to our elected officials' campaigns. So I have to actually beg for the money in the PAC committee.
I'm sure everyone envies you.
Yes. And advocacy committee at TMBA, we do advocacy. So we're kind of one and the same. We just kind of back them up. But we're all, and you know what? You're all an advocate. Everybody in each industry, you're advocating for your industry. If you don't choose to advocate or to help donate, then somebody else is going to make the decision for you. But a decision on something is going to be made. It's just better if you help to make that decision. Just like people tell me, "Oh, well, I don't vote. I don't like who I'm voting for. I'm not going to vote." Well, you cannot vote, but that just means that you're giving someone else your say in something because the votes are going to be taken. The contest is, somebody's going to win the contest, and you didn't have a say in it. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by not supporting your industry or voting in any election as an American.
And I think that in particular, because of the uncertainty right now, that what's going to happen is, we don't know what's going to occur in 2021, but people are the situation is going to evolve, and hopefully it will turn out just fine. But it's quite possible that it doesn't. And then when people start thinking about ways that they can fix or repair or help in whatever the situation is at that time, and in Texas they will be in session, people are going to want to, well-intended people with, and very smart people with good thoughts are going to come up with some sort of bill, some sort of proposed fix to solve problems. And unless you get in there and support your industry and get in there and advocate for your industry, somebody else is going to, like to your point, somebody else is going to write the rule for you. And they may not know how the industry works, and they may not know what is needed. Even if you have a completely consumer-friendly bill or law that gets written into effect, it's still got to work, and it's still got to not adversely impact the system itself, which harms the consumer themselves. So I think it's probably always true that it's more important now than ever to get involved. But certainly this is a time in this pandemic and this uncertainty.
That's right. It's like if you don't vote or if you don't make an effort, that means that, okay, you got to have a car. Well, somebody's just going to give you a car. You didn't get to make the decision about what car you wanted. Oh, somebody just gave you a Toyota.
Right.
Oh, well, I wanted a Chevrolet Tahoe,
Right.
So
and it comes with whatever price tag it comes with, right? So they give you a car and they tell you how much you're going to pay, and you didn't choose it. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me.
That's why everybody putting in their 2 cents, or everybody thinking about it in our industry for one, and it being a collaborative effort. To me, anytime you collaborate on something, you produce a better product. It's a better end product by having a whole lot of different ideas in it, because you can say, oh, I want this. Well, if you do that, then this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. Oh, yeah. Well, what do you think? Well, what if we do this, this, and this? Oh, that's a good idea. So we get together.
Yeah, as you said, it's collaborative problem solving.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, listen, I know you're super busy, and I don't want to take a ton of your time. Any final thoughts as we part ways here?
Hold on. My phone was ringing.
The lovely parts of working remotely.
Well, I thank you for having me on. I think this is a great thing that you're doing, and especially for allowing me to talk about advocacy, which is coincidentally so important right now, because it was the advocacy that helped change that rule.
That's right. That's right. So if people want to get involved, how do they do that? Do they contact you? Do they contact Texas MBA? What's the best approach there?
If you go onto the TMBA website, you can donate, but if you go through LinkedIn, message me. I will help you. I'll give you information. I'll let you help me. I'm always eager to have other people be on our committee, be on our team, and give us their thoughts and their ideas. So just go to the TMBA website to donate, or message me through LinkedIn, and it'll be great. I'll get right back to you.
And just as a companion to that, there's the whole Advocacy Army, and that's the time people donate to get out and get messages to the legislators as well. And it's you guys work hand in hand, and we do appreciate it.
Regina Ewell is the head of the Committee for Advocacy Army.
Yeah, Regina's a fantastic person too, and a good friend. And,
well, everybody in our industry is fantastic. I mean, who do you know that's not a fantastic person in our industry?
I can't say it here, Cissy. No, we have so many gems in our industry. We are blessed. In fact, a couple of them, I'll just mention James Eiley, Cross Country Mortgage. Thank you, James. John Hodge, Next Bank. John is actually very active. Both these gentlemen are very active in the Texas MBA. Good friends of ours. And Tracy Dace at ComputerShare, thank you. And so, Cissy, thank you so much for joining us today. And if the viewers, if you appreciate what we do and you like this, give us a like on YouTube or LinkedIn. Subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button. share the information with your friends. That's what we're trying to do anyway, is connect people and connect people with information, content, and as always, if you want any topics addressed, just shoot those over. You can text me. The contact information is in the YouTube channel below, so you can just text me. You can shoot me an email. We'll get your questions
And Troy,
on. Yes,
you're a generous, huge advocate for the PAC. Also, you're one of our top advocates. So I appreciate all you do.
at least I have the most hats.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You look good in your hats.
Well, thank you, Cissy. Everybody, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for participating. This is the Mortgage Banking live stream. We'll see you next time.